Why do we do things that do not benefit us today? We live in a world of instant rewards. We want the fruit the moment we plant the seed. We ask, what is in it for me? But true greatness is not about what you gather for yourself. True greatness is about what you leave behind. Have you ever wondered what kind of person plants a forest they will never see? This was a question that baffled a young merchant named Cale. Cale was a man of the moment. He was driven, successful, and always in a hurry. His world was measured in gold coins and quick profits. If an action did not pay him now, he simply did not do it. His days were a whirlwind of transactions, each one designed to fill his purse today, not tomorrow. One scorching afternoon, Cale found himself traveling through a desolate, sun-baked valley known as the Dustlands. It was a miserable place. The earth was cracked and dry. The air was thick with heat. Not a single tree offered shelter from the punishing sun. Cale grumbled to himself, wiping sweat from his brow. He cursed the heat and wished someone, anyone, had thought to build a shelter or plant a tree here. It never occurred to him that he could be that someone. Building something that offered no immediate profit was a fool's errand. His only goal was to cross this wasteland as quickly as possible and reach the next city where more gold awaited. Then he saw it. In the middle of this God-forsaken valley, a lone figure was hunched over the hard earth. It was an old man, frail and weathered, with skin like dried leather. His name was Elian. With a small, worn spade, he was painstakingly digging holes in the baked soil. Beside him was a bucket of water, clearly carried from a great distance, and a small sack of tiny oak seedlings. He worked with a slow, deliberate rhythm, ignoring the oppressive heat. He looked exhausted, a man clearly near the end of his life, yet his determination was unmistakable. Cale reined in his horse, a mix of curiosity and scorn on his face. He called out, his voice sharp with impatience. "Old man, what are you doing? You are wasting your time. This land is dead. Nothing can grow here." Elian did not look up. He continued to dig, his spade scraping against the dry ground. After a moment, he spoke, his voice raspy but calm. "The land is only dead because we stopped serving it." Cale let out a short, incredulous laugh. He swung his leg over his horse and dismounted, striding closer, serving it. "What service can you offer this dust? And even if you could, these are oak seedlings." He pointed at the tiny green shoots. "They take 50 years to grow. You are, forgive me, you are old. You will be dead long before these offer anyone any shade." At this, Elian finally stopped. He planted his spade in the earth and slowly straightened his back, his movements stiff with age. He looked directly at Cale, and his eyes were surprisingly clear and full of a light that defied his weathered face. "I know," he said simply. "I will never eat their fruit. I will never sit in their shade." Cale was speechless. This was madness. What kind of person toiled for a reward they would never receive? It went against every principle he lived by. Elian's gaze remained fixed on the young merchant. "Tell me," he began, his voice taking on the quality of a teacher, "did you eat an apple this morning on your journey?" Cale, taken aback by the strange question, nodded slowly. "Yes, I did." "And did you plant the tree that bore it?" Elian asked. Cale shook his head. "No, of course not." A gentle smile touched Elian's lips. "Someone planted that tree long ago, Cale. Someone who knew they would not eat that specific apple you enjoyed today. They did not plant it for themselves. They planted it for you. We drink from wells we did not dig. We are warmed by fires we did not build. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. Elian bent down again, picked up a tiny seedling, and placed it gently into the hole he had dug. It is my turn to pay the debt forward. He began to push the dry soil around the fragile stem. A society grows great, Kale, when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in. Those words struck Kale with the force of a physical blow. A society grows great. He looked from the old man's dirt-stained hands to the tiny green seedling, a fragile promise of life in a sea of dust. In that moment, the gold in his bags felt cold and heavy. His ledgers, his profits, his frantic pursuit of personal gain, all seemed like a childish game. He had spent his life accumulating numbers on a page, while this old man, with nothing but a spade and a bucket of water, was creating life itself. A profound sense of shame washed over him. He realized with a sickening clarity that in his relentless focus on himself, his own soul had become as barren as the wasteland around him. Ilian was not working for a paycheck. He was not working for recognition or for a reward he could hold in his hand. He was working for eternity. He was painting a masterpiece that would not be finished until long after he was gone. Kale stood there for a long time, watching Ilian move to the next spot to dig another hole. The young merchant did not get back on his horse. Instead, he walked to his saddlebags, pulled out his own water skin, and walked back to the old man. He offered it without a word. Elian accepted with a simple nod of thanks. For the rest of that afternoon, Kale stayed. He did not dig, but he watched. He learned. When the sun began to set, he quietly mounted his horse and rode away, not towards the city of profit, but back the way he came. He was a changed man. 50 years passed. Kale, now an old man himself, his hair as white as snow, returned to the valley. But it was no longer called the Dustlands. It was now known as Elian's Grove. The valley was transformed. It was a lush, cool, green forest. A gentle breeze rustled through the leaves of 1,000 mighty oak trees. Birds sang in the branches, and a clear stream, once choked with dust, now bubbled happily over smooth stones. Travelers and families rested in the deep, welcoming shade, their laughter echoing through the trees. Kale walked slowly through the forest, his hand brushing against the rough bark of the giant oaks. He walked until he reached the heart of the grove. There, surrounded by the largest trees, was a simple stone marker. It read, Elian. He planted the future. Kale sat down at the base of one of the great oaks, leaning his back against its sturdy trunk. He closed his eyes, feeling the cool shade on his skin, a gift from a man he met only once, and in the quiet hum of the living forest, he whispered his thanks to the man who understood that a life is not measured by what it gathers, but by what it gives away. The moral is that the true meaning of life is not found in personal gain, but in contributing to a future that extends beyond our own existence. We find our greatest purpose when we plant seeds of kindness and creation, knowing that the shade they provide will comfort generations we will never meet.